Welcome to Winning Retirement TV. For those of you just joining, I'm Kristen Taylor with Greg Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. You know, Shakespeare once said that it's better to be 3 hours too soon than a minute too late. And I think that's what it's like when it comes to retirement planning, don't you, Greg? I feel like you want to be on time.
Don't want to be a day late and $1 short.
That's right. You don't want to be $1 short. So today we're talking about the 7 smart year-end moves for retirees. You like that?
My dance moves?
Oh, well, we don't want those. So
what are you talking about?
I'm sure I have videos though. So if you want one of those, just email me. Yeah, I'll send it over. But 7 smart moves. So we'll get right into the list. So number 1 on the list, you say, is review your required minimum distributions.
Well, yes. If you're 73 this year and you know that Uncle Sam is now calling, he was calling for you to say, hey, you better take that required minimum distribution this year out of your account. And it's important to do so because otherwise, if you do not take it, and then, you know, if you're 73 this year and you don't remember by April 1st of next year, and Uncle Sam finds out before you tell on yourself, guess what the penalty is?
50%.
No, 25%.
25% now, that's right.
Yeah, used to
I
be
did that on purpose, by the way.
Used to be 50%.
Yeah.
But
so the rules have changed, and it's important to talk about the rules changing because, you know, it used to be they would just kind of slap you on the hand and let you pay the, you know, take the amount and you'd be good, right? Right. They actually generate more money by making the penalty less because they hold to the penalty more.
Correct. So if you figured it out and you went ahead and took your required distribution late and told on yourself, they wouldn't charge you a penalty. Well, now, if you catch it yourself and you tell on yourself, it's a 10% penalty instead of 25, but
you still have a penalty.
Correct. So by actually lowering it from 50 to 25 and then taking the, I'm going to tell myself from 0 to 10%, they're actually collecting more money that way than they were before. So who knew? Now's a great time for people who are charitable minded. You know, we love talking about Dare for More. We talk about it quite a bit on the radio show. I don't know if we talked about it a whole lot here on TV, but
we have a little. So Dare for More is a nonprofit that helps. It's based in Guatemala currently, but their goal is to reach women all over the world that are subject to trafficking. So they give them skills, life skills, in order to provide for their families so that they don't have to succumb to what happens a lot in poor countries where trafficking happens, unfortunately, even within the family. You know, it's not like they're stolen and they get trafficked. The family actually traffics them. So it's a great nonprofit that we've been involved in for a number of years.
Yeah, and then also getting women out of abuse and abusive situations. Yeah. So doing all that, and that's something we are very passionate about, but that might not be something anybody else has ever heard of, but there, you know, you may have a charity or organization or maybe a church that you're very passionate about, and maybe you're already giving. Well, that sets you up perfectly for something called a qualified charitable distribution, or what we would call a QCD.
Right, and they're pretty easy. It's just a matter of, like, you know, actually doing the correct paperwork, getting it in on time and all that. But we've actually heard of several situations with families that have come to work with us that have had the paperwork messed up, but our staff makes it very easy.
Jessica and Michelle and their team has just done a fabulous job of helping people, number one, understand what's required, understand it in a timely manner, get everything in a timely manner so that it can be completed on time and actually get the deduction. And actually what happens...
So you take your RMD, but you're able to bypass the tax by donating it directly to the nonprofit.
Right, or charity or church or whatever it is, you're able to do that directly, avoid the tax. So now, you may not want to do that with your entire required minimum distribution, but if you're already giving, why not avoid the tax altogether by doing a QCD? So great, smart move at the end of the year here. Not quite as good as my dance moves, but you know, nevertheless, a smart move. Something else, evaluate year-end taxes.
That's number 2 on the list.
Number 2.
And you love talking about taxes, so I'm not surprised that this made the list.
Of course not.
But when you're looking at, I think I should start off by saying I think that season changes are the best times to look at things and reevaluate it. Kind of makes
Kind of like you do with your closet.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason, there's a method to my madness, right? It's just fun to do things that are organizing at season changes, including your wardrobe.
Should we tell everybody you have 2 whole closets now?
It's okay. We're not going to talk about that. But we have, well, I brought a client through our house once. I don't know if you know this. One of our clients,
Oh, yes.
Joanne, I won't say her last name, but I brought her. We went to lunch near our house. And so I said, oh, you haven't been in our house. Come on through. Well, she looked in your closet and she commented on how perfect everything was.
Yes.
And she looked at mine and smiled because it was so messy. I said, I don't know the state of my house right now, but I really love you if I'm letting you come in and I don't even know what it looks like. But, Greg's so organized with how he has everything. Nothing can touch that's hanging up. His boxes are all perfectly aligned and I'm chaos.
All my shoes are still in their boxes.
Right,
yes.
right. But evaluating taxes, I think, is even at season changes, even just before the end of the year, it's important to know where you stand so that you can be efficient with your taxes.
It does. And, it's good to look at the big picture versus the short term. Because in the short term, it probably makes absolutely no sense to think about a Roth conversion. And we can't probably go through an episode without me talking about a Roth conversion.
Right.
But if you look at the big picture, and that's what we hope to help people do, we want to focus on the short term and the long term. For instance, we want you to have emergency money for things that could possibly happen. Want you to have income for today so that you can pay your bills and do all the things you want to do. I mean, that's fun stuff. Want you to grow for the future so that you can take care of the costs that may occur tomorrow. But part of those costs that may occur tomorrow, which actually will occur tomorrow at some point, are taxes. And we have to account for that. So looking at that big picture, and the way we do it is we let people go to testmyretirement.com. Before they even go there, though, a lot of times people, ask for the My Retirement Kit.
Right.
They will. And that helps them take inventory of what they are doing with their investments, whether or not they're on track with risk versus return. It helps them figure out, okay, what am I actually spending? And, how much will I need in retirement to live on? And how much income will I have coming in? And all those things. What about healthcare? How prepared am I for healthcare in the future and now? And then their legacy plan, how they plan to leave what they leave behind to those they love. Do they have an efficient plan? Is probate involved, or attorneys and all that nonsense, the court system? Are they going to get involved in their estate, or can we avoid all that? So with a good quality plan, you can avoid all that. And with a good quality plan, if we pay close attention, we can also reduce the tax burden potentially.
Right.
And that's all part, but it starts by filling out a simple form and taking inventory of where you are today. A smart year-end move is figure out where you stand today.
That's right. So today we're talking all about the 7 smart year-end moves for retirees. And Greg mentioned the My Retirement Kit. It's super easy. You go to legacyretirementgroup.com, click on the Tools drop-down menu, and you're able to request a My Retirement Kit there. Again, legacyretirementgroup.com. Or you can call our office to request it at 614-336-7660. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Have you visited legacyretirementgroup.com lately? Not only can you easily schedule an appointment by clicking on Schedule Now, you can visit the Tools section and request a free copy of Legacy's My Retirement Kit. Simply fill in your email address and a few other details. Then check your email and you'll find a 10-page retirement kit in your inbox that can help you become better organized. Legacy's My Retirement Kit is designed to help you take a personal inventory and assign realistic values to your assets for what lies ahead. It's a key first step towards creating a true financial plan for your future. And you can do it for free at home right now. To be clear, this does not take the place of a retirement plan or estate plan, but it will help you get organized for the future of your retirement. Visit LegacyRetirementGroup.com and click on Tools to request your My Retirement Kit today. That's LegacyRetirementGroup.com.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. I'm Kristen Taylor, and they say that time waits for no one. And so I think that's especially true for retirees. And so we're going through the list of 7 common year-end moves for
Yes.
retirees, right? Because of that. So for the first segment, I'll review for those of you just joining us. We said to review your required minimum distributions, those
Yep.
RMDs.
Yep.
Number 2, evaluate year-end tax moves. What's number 3?
Review and possibly rebalance your investment portfolio.
That's a big one.
It is. Well, what I found in the hundreds and hundreds of meetings I've had with people for the first time, and every time it's such an honor and privilege to have
It's
people.
cool to hear stories, right?
Well, it is. And,
Yeah.
that's typically what I'll ask you, are you open to telling me your story? Because their story is unique. Their story is their story, and we want to hear it. We want to find out what's important to them and what's important to you about your portfolio. For some people, they want to get as massive of growth as possible, not worrying about risk. In fact, in the My Retirement Kit that we talked about earlier, there's a section in there where it says, which one best describes you, maximum growth with no worry or thought of volatility. In other words, let it ride the roller coaster. I'm good.
Pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal. That's it. I'm comfortable with moderate volatility. I am not at all comfortable with volatility, or I'm comfortable, I want a portion of my portfolio to be protected, but I'm comfortable with some volatility. So that gives them 4 areas that they can identify with. And that should cover just about everybody. Pedal to the metal, moderate,
I just laughed at myself, but I lost it. I don't remember what he said. What did our friend in Arizona, from the guy from Nashville that we were a colleague of ours, what did he say?
Let it rip potato chip or something
Let
like
it
that.
rip potato chip. I mean, that
Yeah.
was so funny. We were cracking up for 5 minutes over that one. But some people are like that, right?
Let it rip potato chip.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's good. So, but as we're reviewing, we need to understand, is the risk in our portfolio what we're actually comfortable with? But even if it is, this is really important. When we test a portfolio, we're looking at certain things, certain items, just like, we don't really like to go to the doctor. I know I don't.
You really don't.
When we go for that annual physical, that annual exam, and they do the blood test and all the stuff, and they come back with a report. They're giving us a report on our A1C and our cholesterol levels, the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol. They tell us, I don't know, some of it's good, some of it's bad, LDL levels and all that, and
Right.
trying to see, okay, am I going to live another week or
Land your plane. You're making this not sound fun.
No.
We don't want it to be like a health exam.
No, but just like that, where we're finding out how we are, where we
Right.
stand physically, our portfolio x-ray helps people understand where they are with their portfolios.
Right.
And there's something called alpha, which really tells us whether or not we're getting bang for our risk buck. Is we're taking a certain element of risk, level of risk, but are we getting enough return to justify the risk we're taking? Or could we take less risk and get a similar return, or we could take the same risk and possibly get a better return? So it's not always just about our risk level, but it's are we being efficient with the risk we're actually taking?
Right. And that's all. I think that's all really important, but we should get to number 4 on the list. Number 4 is consider health insurance and long-term care insurance.
Well, yes, because, if you're going to retire and you're not 65, now health insurance becomes one of your biggest concerns. If you are 65, now you have to figure out what's going on with Medicare, and should I do an Advantage plan? Should I do a supplement? Which supplement plan should I choose? Which one's best for me? And, years and years ago, I used to, really be fairly heavy in that arena. Over the years, I kind of transitioned to where it was more about investments and income planning. And one of my good friends that's been a friend since 1994, it's hard to believe.
Wow.
I mean,
Do you still have the mindset that that was like 10 years ago? Do you know that? You know that? Do you know that
it
saying where
seems
you
like
put
it.
you put everything based on year 2000? So if you talk about 1970, you say 30 years ago, or
Yeah.
1990. I don't know. I do that.
So it's either before or after the year 2000.
Right. Yeah.
Sure. Yes. And so this friend of mine, Al, he really focuses heavily on this Medicare stuff.
Okay.
And so we've referred so many people to him because he understands all the complexities. And so we have a resource for that,
Mhm.
for people to figure out, okay, what is actually best for me when I turn 65, based on all my goals and the things that are most important to me. And figuring that out is a big deal, but also don't neglect long-term care. Now, it's reported that about 7 out of 10 households where someone lives past the age of 65, there's going to be a long-term care need, whether it be home health care, whether it be assisted living, whether it be memory care, whether it be a nursing care, whether it be custodial or intermediate or skilled. So those are levels of care that there are out there. And let's face it, I mean, at one time I volunteered in 10 nursing homes a month.
Mhm.
My mother was a nursing home administrator. I understand nursing homes, and I understand that nobody wants to go there.
Right.
But there's so many people there. What's going on? If nobody wants to be there and they're full of people, that means there comes a day where there's a need. And we have to be prepared for those potential costs, because that can be a burden on the spouse. If there's a spouse at home, it can take away the legacy financially that we want to leave behind to the people we love. And having a plan to take care of those things, I think, is very, very important. And we don't have enough time on today's show to really dig into all the options, but I think that is really important. And lastly,
Number 5.
Yeah, number 5,
Yeah.
as of right now, an important thing to think about for those who have flexible spending accounts.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the end of the year. Start finding out ways to utilize that, because when it comes to a flexible spending account, if you don't use it, you lose it.
So it's different than an HSA, which
Correct.
we love those.
Those can carry over from year to year.
We've seen families with large amounts in those
Right.
that it's very helpful for those healthcare expenses later on in
It is.
retirement. But the FSAs, you want to use those dollars.
You do.
I think we should talk about the complete planning review as our offer right now.
You know, when we talk about, CPR, complete planning review, that's exactly what it is. It looks under every rock in your portfolio. So it looks under the investments. It looks under the income piece to see if you're efficient with income. Taxes, helping you get the clear picture of what your tax burden might be versus if you made some changes. The healthcare piece, helping you identify where you're vulnerable and helping you find ways to close those gaps. And finally, whatever is left behind, getting that to the people you love, avoiding the probate court, avoiding the attorney fees and all the hassles that go along with that. Doing those things can help make you much more secure in your retirement. So all you have to do is pick up the phone, give us a call at 614-336-7660, or simply go to our website, legacyretirementgroup.com, and hit schedule now.
We'll be right back after this short commercial break where we'll be giving number 6 and 7.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the 4th worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis. Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. I'm Kristen Taylor, and today we're talking all about 7 smart year-end moves. But first, before we get into that, I found this little fact because we were talking about time and how time waits for no one. Did you know that time zones were created because of trains?
Because of trains?
because of trains. So before the 1880s, towns kept their own time, and with the rise in railroads, there became a need for standardization. So therefore, the time zones were created.
Interesting.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I'd like to create my own time.
Oh my.
The GT time zone.
GT time. I knew it was going to something was going to come out of your mouth that was cheesy with that. So let's review our list. So we've been talking all about the 7 smart year-end moves, and number 1 you said was review your required minimum distributions, those RMDs.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 was evaluate your year-end tax moves. Of course, we're always going to talk about taxes at some point on the show. Number 3, review and rebalance your investment portfolio. I think that's one of the most important ones on the list to look at. Number 4, consider health insurance and long-term care insurance or coverage. Number 5, use flexible spending accounts. I think that's an overlooked one, so I'm glad you added that to the
Yes.
list. Number 6, what is that one?
Solidify your retirement income plan. Folks, I can't emphasize this enough. If you don't have a written income plan for retirement, you don't have a plan.
Income equals lifestyle.
Well, it does, but it's
Yeah.
more than that, Kristen, because so many times I see people bring in these reports. We call them Monte Carlo reports,
Mm-hmm.
but a computer spews out a report of they take 1,000 different
Simulations.
simulations, and they'll take the 50th percentile, the one that's in the middle, and they'll base our percentage of probability on that 50th percentile. Meaning that if it says we have a 98% probability of not outliving our money, it's based on that 50th percentile.
Right.
So things could be much better, things could be much worse, but that's just one computer scenario that says, okay, you have a pretty good chance of not running out of money. But that to me is not a plan. And by the way, asset allocation isn't necessarily a plan either,
Right.
meaning that do I have 60% stock or 40% bond? Do I have 70-30? Do I have 50-50? That is simply that, an asset allocation. And that should really be restricted to our growth assets.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I've discovered in my career, which is, it's really a game changer for me when I discovered this, because it totally changed my way of thinking. You know, doing this for 32 years ago, I didn't think about things the way I do today.
Right.
I've learned a thing or two because I've seen a lot of things. I've seen so many things in my career. And when you see heartbreak on families who worked overtime, 7 days a week sometimes, to build a nest egg, only to retire in the year 2000, and within 3 years, half their money's gone.
Right.
You kidding me? 7 days a week, sometimes for 40 years, and it only took 3 years of market losses to wipe out half of it?
Right.
I mean, how devastating is that for people? And as advisors, how devastating is it to have to look people in the eye and say, you know, we're sorry this happened to you,
Right.
right? Well, you can either do the same old thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You're hoping that you have the right timing. But I believe rather than depending on your lifestyle for good timing, it's better to use smart planning. I really believe that with all my heart. And that is a game changer for people when they realize that they can actually have protected streams of income in retirement. So we really subscribe to, okay, have some money in the bank for emergencies,
Right.
have some money in long-term growth for the needs you're going to have in the future, but protect the income that you need today.
Well, and I think it's important to understand that the conversation starts happening around the dollars that are already there for income. So places like your Social Security,
Yes.
your pensions,
Yes.
your withdrawals. Maybe you have annuities out there already that you're getting income from. We start working backwards, kind of, you know, as we're solving this equation as to the income that a family needs.
Yes. In fact, we recently started working with a family that they purchased some annuities back in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd had them for quite some time, and
Right.
they weren't quite up to speed with the annuities that are available today. So in their case, we needed some additional income that their current annuities weren't really giving them.
Mm-hmm.
And what we realized was if we just took the dollars they already had in annuities, we could shift them to some of the newer strategies that are out there and give them all the income they needed without increasing the amount of money they had in annuities. So
Right.
that was one way. But the most important thing isn't, okay, how much do you have in an annuity, or how much do you have in the stock market, or how much do you have in the bank? The most important element is that we discover what the income need is and use the least amount of resources to cover that need.
Well, that's part of our process. I mean, we meet with families, we
Yeah.
find out what their story is, what's important to them about their money, and then we start really looking at what they currently have, running tests with our team behind the scenes and understanding where they're at and if that meets where they want to go. And then we start combining all that information to come up with a plan that fits where they're at today, right?
Exactly. Number 7, I don't want to forget to mention this, is that review your estate plan and beneficiary designations. You need to review that. I say at least every 2 to 3 years have that review to make sure it's still on track for what you're trying to achieve, to make sure you can avoid probate and get things to the people you want to as efficiently as possible. Those things are vital. But I would say, as we close out today's show, it's so important for those that don't have a written income plan. I want to offer this to you. If you're watching the show today, you're 60 and older, and you're looking at retirement within the next few years, and you're wondering, okay, how can I know for sure that I can retire comfortably? Well, it starts with your written income plan. If you don't have that, pick up the phone. Give us a call today, 614-336-7660, because a written income plan is more than just how much, when do I take Social Security? It's more than just being able to pay my bills. It's your entire lifestyle for retirement. It really is.
You know what I love about the income plan is when people come back for the reviews, they bring it with them.
Yes.
And they pull it out and they discuss it with you.
They do. And you know what's nice, when you get a written income plan, you can visualize and see, okay, Social Security kicks in here. My pension, if you have a pension, it kicks in here. My protected income kicks in here. And now we're tallying up on the right side. Here's how much income you told us you need. We're accounting for inflation every year, and you're able to see and track whether or not your plan is actually keeping pace with inflation. So the income plan is designed to protect you for your income need today, but it's also designed to protect you for your income need tomorrow.
That's so good. Thank you so much to our viewers at home for joining us today. We talked all about the 7 smart year-end moves for retirees. If you haven't made the steps to get to your retirement years, and you've done the saving, you've done all the hard work, now's the time to give us a call at 614-336-7660. Be happy, be blessed, and see you again next week.